President Trump gives a full-throated endorsement of Uber Rhino Lindsey Graham in a shocking 2026 endorsement, and MAGA now says no. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, a lot to talk about today, a lot of news over the last 24 hours. But look, this is a story that is getting very little traction from the establishment fake news media, the corporate media, because they love Lindsey Graham. Let's be honest. CNN loves him. MSNBC loves him. Fox News adores him. The establishment media and the political establishment, the swamp, the media, they love him because ultimately he's their kind of Republican. He is a globalist. He is a warmonger. He is a neoconservative. He is for open borders, amnesty for illegal aliens, hence the nickname Lindsey Grahamnesty. He is someone who in the past has repeatedly, while smiling to Trump's face, stabbed him and the movement in the back. And this is why Trump's decision to give a glowing endorsement for Lindsey Graham's re-election next year has shocked many of his most diehard supporters. And look, as I said on X last night, and again, you can follow me on X. I hope all of you do, frankly, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn as in national ER, all one word. That's my handle, at the Kuhner Report. Look, I love President Trump. You know that, okay? I love him, love him, love him. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. In fact, I'm going to have, I'm going to discuss later in the show just some of the incredible cuts they're making at DOGE. These are cuts that are 30 years in the making. So you're looking at an historic presidency. There's no question. I love the guy, but I'm not with him on this one. And frankly, neither is the overwhelming majority of MAGA. Most of MAGA is telling President Trump, well, you're entitled to your opinion, obviously. You can endorse whoever you like. But on this one, we're going to go our own way. So, on Tuesday, President Trump issued, you couldn't get a more full-throated positive endorsement of Lindsey Grahamnesty. And as I said, he is a globalist. Frankly, he's a war pig. I'm sorry to put it that way, but that's what he is. He is a warmonger extraordinaire. By the way, I don't know if you saw his latest comments. He's now calling for the United States to attack Russia, on top of bombing Iran, on top of maybe going to war with China. The man he's a lunatic. The deep state loves him. He's a shill, a mouthpiece for the military-industrial complex. Corporate America, the business elites love him because he's always been there for a massive amnesty proposal for cheap labor, for illegal aliens, and he's a huge free trader. Everything that Trump is doing now with tariffs, Lindsey Graham has opposed his entire career. And Lindsey Graham has been tied to John McCain, the late Senator McManiac, the warmonger extraordinaire, to Mitt Romney, to Mitch McConnell, to me, to the old, dying, corrupt guard of the Republican Party. And he's not liked in South Carolina anymore. Conservatives rightly feel he has abandoned them. And I can't tell you how many times this guy has stabbed us in the back and stabbed Trump in the back. But either Trump's in a forgiving mood, or what I suspect is he doesn't want to deplete or squander or spend precious political capital in a primary fight against Lindsey Graham. And make no mistake about it, Lindsey Graham next year is going to be primaried. He is going to face a MAGA, America First conservative challenger. And that's where Lindsey Graham is very vulnerable. In a general, South Carolina, as you know, is a red state. pretty much if you're a Republican in statewide offices, for the most part, you win in South Carolina. So the fight for Lindsey is going to be in the primary. He needed Trump's endorsement, and he got it. So on Truth Social, President Trump praised Lindsey Graham as a quote-unquote wonderful friend, and then began to praise him incredibly for his support for border security and for economic growth and low taxes and his support for the military. And so he urged all South Carolinians to re-elect Lindsey Graham, Trump declaring, quote, in caps, he will not let you down. And I don't want to read the whole endorsement, but to show you how positive, how glowing, how enthusiastic it was. Senator Lindsey Graham, here's what Trump wrote, is working incredibly hard for the great people of South Carolina, a state I love and won big in 2016, 2020, and 2024, which is very true. He did win South Carolina in all three elections with big margins. And here's what he wrote. Lindsey has been a wonderful friend to me and has always been there when I needed him. We're very forgiving, are we not, Mr. President? I think, we're going to forget about a lot of the stuff he said about you in the past, I guess, huh? As the chair of the Senate Budget Committee, Lindsey is fighting tirelessly to grow the economy, lower taxes, and eliminate government waste. He then goes on to say, Lindsey is also relentlessly focused on helping us secure the border, stop migrant crime, strongly support our great military and vets, promote American energy dominance, defend our always under siege Second Amendment, and ensure peace through strength. And here's the kicker. Senator Lindsey Graham has my complete and total endorsement for re-election. He will not let you down. Everyone in South Carolina should help Lindsey have a big win next year. Now, look, again, I have immense respect for President Trump. He wants to endorse him. That's his business. Okay? That's his right. It's his right. I disagree. I'm not going to vote for, if I lived in South Carolina, I wouldn't vote for Lindsey Graham in a primary, Republican primary. If there's a conservative challenger, a real conservative, an America First Republican, and a MAGA conservative, I will back the MAGA America First candidate all the way. All the way. Lindsey Grahamnesty is a rhino's rhino. He really is the top rhino right now. Romney has retired. Mitch McConnell has said he's not going to run again. He's basically got one foot out the door. So Lindsey Graham is really now the titular head of the rhinos in Congress. Now, I know they're friends. I know Lindsey Graham always goes down to Mar-a-Lago, golfs with Trump. Trump is very loyal to his friends. And as I suspect, I don't think he wants to expend political capital in a primary fight in a deep red state like South Carolina. He's looking at saving the Republican majority in both the House and the Senate, especially the House, in the 2026 midterms. So basically, he's got bigger fish to fry. And so I think that's a big reason why he endorsed him. But again, I respectfully disagree. It was Lindsey Graham who called Trump a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot on CNN during the 2016 Republican primaries. Do you remember that when he called Trump a racist? Where Lindsey Graham, again, this was during the primary, told Trump to go to hell. This is the same guy who was echoing the editorial page, the line of the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal, saying that Donald Trump is a stain on the Republican Party and that Donald Trump needs to go down for the good of the Republican Party. Trump and all of his supporters must go down. He has been a mortal foe of MAGA from the beginning. In fact, literally, what he called Trump supporters, you, me, everyone, I can't say the word, bat crap crazy. So he's been echoing these liberal lines, saying Trump supporters are racist, bigots, homophobic, xenophobic. He has been one of the biggest supporters of amnesty in Congress. And this is the man who blamed Donald Trump for January 6th, saying Trump was the problem. Trump caused what happened on January 6th. And as I said, this is a man who's never met a war he didn't support, who never met an amnesty deal he didn't support, who never met a globalist free trade deal he never supported. And we're supposed to back him? I'm sitting this one out, Mr. President. Agree, disagree. Revenge of the Rhinos. 6:18 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, Lindsey Graham now gets a coveted endorsement. In fact, a very enthusiastic, as I said, full-throated endorsement from President Donald Trump. And most of MAGA is telling the president, we're not with you on this one. We disagree. It's fine. You can endorse him. You're the president. God bless you. We love you. But on this one, no. If there's a good conservative challenger, we'll go with the conservative challenger. So what you're seeing now is you can see battle lines already being drawn. Lindsey Graham represents now the corrupt Republican establishment. He, to me, has managed to worm his way into Trump's good graces, into Trump's inner circle. And, you know, as I've been telling people for years, very few people I despise on Capitol Hill or in national politics more than Lindsey Graham. And it's not just that he's an uber rhino and a globalist and a warmonger and all of these things. It's, he smiles like a used car salesman. And he reminds me of a cheap used car salesman with the twinkle, with the white teeth that, you know, that just, you know, that just twinkle. And, you know, you see that spark from his mouth, and he's selling you something, and then he just stabs you right in the back. And that's Lindsey Graham. And I'll never forget January 6th. He went after President Trump's throat, saying he was to blame for January 6th. As he put it, he was the problem, not the solution, that he brought shame to himself and to the Republican Party. I remember, and this is just a couple of years ago, I remember good old Lindsey saying that we have to reject Trump and Trumpism and all of his voters. And then, of course, he puts his finger up in the air, you know, like the good, slippery, sleazy politician that he is. And he's like, oh, Trump's not done after January 6th. Trump is actually even more popular now than ever. Oops. And then he runs over to, you know, Mar-a-Lago and starts ingratiating himself again with Trump. And then he'll take up an issue or two that's dear to President Trump and then present himself as his best friend, his champion, his advocate. I mean, that's the kind of guy Lindsey Graham is. So what you're seeing now, I think, is clearly a war between MAGA and the Rhinos. And the fact now, I've never, ever, ever seen this, ever, where you're talking over 90, 95% plus of MAGA supporters are saying, we're not with you on this one, Mr. President. No, we're not with you. And so many conservative and MAGA influencers, podcasters, people on social media, big followings, and they're like, no, not on this one, Mr. President. Love you, but on this one, we're going to go our own way. We're going to agree to disagree. Now, what this also, and this is why the media doesn't want to cover this story, for many reasons, because it'll show the groundswell of opposition to their guy, Lindsey Grahamnesty, and just how much the corrupt Republican establishment, the globalist GOP, that wing, is utterly reviled, hated, and discredited. But it also shows something else. Contrary to their caricature of Trump supporters and of the MAGA movement, that we're this big cult, just whatever Trump says, we agree. Whatever Trump says, we salute. This blows that narrative sky high. Sky high. And let me tell you what my real fear is. It's not just this Lindsey Grahamnesty endorsement, which I think, not that it's a mistake. I mean, people are going to love him in South Carolina, and he's not going to lose any votes because of it. I just think it's not going to have any influence. I think he's going to be surprised. And I think Lindsey's going to be surprised. He thinks now, well, I got the Trump people. Well, why? Well, I got the president's stamp of approval. And I think it's going to have a rude awakening for him. Many conservatives are going to say, no, we love him. But on this one, no, we disagree. We're going to go with a conservative. I think Lindsey's going to be surprised, okay? But on a deeper level, have you noticed the Rhinos are going after Hegseth on this whole Signalgate scandal? They're going after Pete Hegseth. The Wall Street Journal is going after Hegseth. Lindsey Graham is now taking shots behind the scenes against Hegseth. Rhinos in the House Republicans are going after Hegseth. Notice, they're not going after Mike Waltz. By the way, Mitch McConnell is going after Hegseth. So, notice, they're not going after Mike Waltz. If anyone's to blame for what happened, it's Waltz, who organized the group chat. He did. Who's top advisor? The deputy national security advisor. The guy who's, apparently put all the contacts together. Alex Wong. Who was the one that did it? His guy. By the way, Alex Wong is a Joe Biden holdover. He's a holdover. An absolute holdover. So, and Mike Waltz is defending Alex Wong to the hilt. So, why is Mike Waltz defending his deputy, who in fact is a Democrat and is a liberal and is part clearly of the establishment and the Biden deep state? And yet the Rhinos are siding with Waltz. Now, another story broke. And you may think it's nothing of it. You may say, well, Jeff, it's the Wall Street Journal. Who cares? It's a paper. No. It has always been the voice, literally the mouthpiece, for the Bush, Cheney, McCain, Romney, Graham, Lindsey Graham, Republican globalist establishment wing of the Republican Party. If you want to know what they're thinking, if you even want to know what they're going to say that day, just read the Wall Street Journal editorial page in the morning. And almost word for word, they parrot it. The Wall Street Journal's editorial board, just a couple weeks ago, met at a swanky restaurant in New York with key House Democrats and Democrat staffers, along with several Rhino Republicans, to strategize how to sabotage Donald Trump in the midterms. And literally, according to the reports, to show them, to teach them proper communication and messaging in the midterms. To deny Trump his Republican majority. Lindsey Graham is a Judas, like every single Rhino. And I don't support him. 6:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you. Trump gives a full endorsement, total endorsement for Lindsey Graham next year. Huge blowback from MAGA. Do you agree with Trump? Disagree with Trump? And ultimately, is it time to purge the Republican Party of every single rhino? I say yes. What say you? Gus, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, thanks for holding and welcome.
It's Russ in Myrtle Beach.
Russ, I'm sorry, on the board I have Gus.
Yes, I know.
My apologies. My apologies, Russ.
I heard another Myrtle Beach caller the other morning, so you do have an audience down here on iHeart, presumably. I try to reserve my calls to those issues that are national, Jeff. So I had to call this morning when I got your topic right off the bat. I'll be calling or trying to call my congressional rep, Russell Fry, to let him know that I'm pretty unhappy about this endorsement. I think this is an unforced error and own goal, as they'd say, on the part of Trump, because the endorsement is way premature. There's no reason why Trump has to come out with this endorsement now when he doesn't even know who's going to challenge Graham, and there will be a challenge, and I'll be backing a challenger. I caught wind of this on Breitbart yesterday and posted a comment, and the comments on Breitbart are blistering against Grahamnesty. It's overwhelming in terms of the opposition to Grahamnesty running again. Up in New England, you're going to have Susan Clownface running again. She's over the hill, but she's going to try to hold on to her seat. So we have a number of rhinos trying to desperately hold on to power. And Grahamnesty is one of them, but I'm dead set against him. I will not support him. It's anyone but Grahamnesty.
Russ, on the ground in South Carolina, I know nationally MAGA is... upset's not the word. I mean, you mentioned Breitbart, which is one of the websites I always read when I show prep. They're a very pro-Trump MAGA, website, publication, online website. And they love Trump, as I do, obviously. And it's just one after another, just bashing Lindsey Graham. Like, well, he can endorse him. It's his right, but we're not going to support him. We're not going to raise money for him. We're going to, we're hoping for a good, strong conservative challenger. So nationally, MAGA, and I've never seen this, Russ, usually, it's not that people, MAGA agrees with Trump on every issue, but usually when Trump gives his endorsement, it's like rocket fuel to a candidate. It gives him a really big boost. I've never seen this before, where he gives such a strong endorsement and overwhelming. MAGA is like, no. No, you vote for him, but we're not going to vote for him. Russ, what are you sensing on the ground? Is Lindsey Graham popular in South Carolina among Republicans and conservatives, or is he vulnerable to a serious challenge, say, by a MAGA conservative?
Well, as a retiree, Jeff, I'm not really tapped into the locals. There may be strong support for him down here, but not among the transplants, because we know what his record is. We have a perspective on the warmongering, on the defense contractor or the military-industrial complex support for Graham. Boeing is down here in a big way. I don't know if they're doing defense contracting down here. They do have a plant where they're building commercial airliners, and apparently they're having massive problems with quality control, and the airlines have been pushing back on the products, the planes that are coming out of the plant down by Columbia. So I know that's a big problem, but course, Boeing gets a tremendous amount of their revenue from weapons programs as well. And of course, Nikki Haley was on the payroll. I think Boeing put Nikki Haley on their board at one time.
That's right.
Okay, so Boeing, of course, is a multi-billion-dollar national defense contractor, and I'm sure they're supporting Graham. All of their executives will be supporting Graham. But the average person who's working a job and trying to make ends meet down here in a tourist and retirement-based economy, I don't think there's strong support for Graham among the...
Russ, I agree. And I think you've laid it out really well. Really, really well. Russ, thank you very much. The elites are for Graham. That's why the Washington establishment loves him. The swamp loves him. Oh, they love him. They love him. Look, this is a huge story, and they won't even cover it because they realize if you cover it, you're going to realize, start doing interviews in South Carolina. I don't care. Go to Columbia, go to Charleston, go to Myrtle Beach, I don't care. Go wherever you want to go. And, you know, with that beautiful southern twang, my favorite accent is a Carolinian accent, whether South or North Carolina. And they're going to say, you know, he's not popular down here. I mean, they're going to be like, you know, no, we don't like, you know, we don't like Lindsey Graham, you know, and you're going to see he could be toppled if the Republicans, the conservatives can get a really good candidate. Lindsey Graham could be toppled. That's why he needs Trump's endorsement so early. That's why he ran to Trump and practically begged him for an endorsement. 617-266-6868. Look, and, you know, again, this counters another myth that the media keeps pushing, that Trump is a vindictive man, right? They keep saying that. Oh, he's vindictive. Oh, my God, he's full of revenge. Just wants to settle scores. Well, if he was a vindictive SOB, the last guy he would ever endorse is Lindsey Graham. He's called him Graham has called Trump a racist, a bigot, unfit, doesn't have the temperament and judgment to be president. This was just 4 years ago. January 6th said this should be the end of Trump and Trumpism. So my point is, you know, since, you know, we're approaching Easter and Good Friday, no one's been more of a Judas than Lindsey Graham. All this guy does is stab Trump in the back whenever he can and stab Trump supporters in the back. So, yeah, you better believe it, Trump is a forgiving guy. And I also think Lindsey Graham has now made him he's become very useful to Trump with Zelensky. Lindsey Graham backed Trump. Remember that big showdown at the White House? And they had that blow up with Zelensky, J.D. Vance, and Trump. Lindsey Graham ran to the cameras, blasted Zelensky, excoriated Zelensky, stood with Trump shoulder to shoulder then, and has been telling Zelensky through back channels, either you apologize or you got to go. So I think that's another reason why Trump feels loyal to Lindsey Graham, because Lindsey Graham has helped him on Zelensky and Ukraine. But personally, I don't trust Lindsey as far as I can throw him. 649 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up, not the Liberal Bowl, but now the Rhino Bowl. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I'm going to get to this in about, maybe about 10 minutes. The Rhinos now are not just trying to sabotage Trump's presidency through Mike Waltz. And it's clear now that Rhinos are going after, forget the Democrats and the media, we know that. But the Rhinos are setting their sights on Pete Hegseth. They want to use Signalgate as the excuse to bring him down, which pretty much should tell you everything you need to know. And they're circling the wagons around Mike Waltz. So you've got, I believe, Rhinos now having infiltrated Trump's national security team. they're now going to try to blow up the House majority. There's a couple of special elections coming up that could potentially cost Republicans control of the House because of Rhino duplicity and Rhino betrayal. So it's clear now that the Rhinos have created an alliance, an unholy pact with the Democrats to try, I don't think they'll succeed, but to try to sabotage and blow up Trump's presidency within the first couple months. And I'm going to get to that story in just about 10 minutes, which is why Trump's decision to endorse Rhino extraordinaire, Uber Rhino, the leader of the Rhinos, globalist warmonger Lindsey Graham, this early and with such a wholehearted, powerful endorsement like he gave a couple days ago, has surprised, let's put it this way, shocked, to be more accurate, almost the entire MAGA movement. 617-266-6868. Let me ask you, agree, disagree, should Trump supporters back Lindsey Graham? I say no. What say you? Let's go to Mark in South Carolina. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Mark?
Good. I'm speaking to you from the mean streets of Fountain Inn, South Carolina. I am a displaced Massachusetts resident from the Lowell area. We moved here about 3 years ago, and it is a beautiful state. The people here are great. We love it, and we should have done it sooner, to tell you the truth. But as far as your point about Lindsey Graham, he is very, very popular down here. I think you're underestimating his popularity here.
Now, Mark, why? If you don't mind me asking, why? Why do they like him so much?
Well, there is your previous caller there mentioned about the Boeing plant, but they also put together F-16s down here, and it's a big. I think it's a General Dynamics operation, but it provides a lot of jobs, a lot of income, and in certain parts of the state, some parts of the state are very poor. I mean, we're up in the Greenville area. We're not down by the coast, but it's a lot of rural areas that are very poor.
And Mark, you're saying these jobs, in other words, Lindsey, whatever we may think about him, he's in the sense with these big military industrial contracts, defense contractors, you mentioned, Boeing and GE Dynamics, and in some way he's bringing home the bacon, correct?
Yes, exactly. And I am involved in local government here, and the people here are supporting him.
Really?
So,
now, Mark,
yeah.
I mean, obviously I would vote for him in a general over a Democrat. There's no question. Don't get me wrong. But in a primary, say a good, strong, real Trump MAGA conservative would challenge Lindsey Graham. I mean, isn't South Carolina, my assumption was that South Carolina is Trump country, right? It's like almost like Florida, right? People, Trump won it big, all three times he ran. It's a MAGA stronghold. So if they can come up with a really good MAGA candidate, would that maybe change people's mind, Mark?
It might, but you're right. Trump is loved down here. He is loved. But, our congressional seat was open back in the last election cycle, and Trump backed a guy who won the primary, but he didn't get 50%. And then this woman who was a military veteran, they had a runoff, and she beat the Trump-backed candidate. So I'm not exactly sure how Trump's endorsement is going to go, to tell you the truth.
Interesting. Mark, not to put you on the spot, and if I'm being too personal, please tell me. I promise I won't be offended. Are you going to, let's say there's a primary, and I know you're going to say, well, Jeff, it depends. Really, sometimes it's the candidate. But say a cookie cutter, MAGA, America First conservative versus Lindsey Graham. who would Mark in Greenville, South Carolina, vote for?
I'd vote for the Trump conservative, definitely.
Interesting. Mark, you know what? Keep us posted. I want you to become kind of like our South Carolina correspondent for Kuhner Country. Does that work, Mark? Thank you, my friend. 617-266-6868. So, you heard it from Mark. Lindsey Graham has got some clout down there. They like him. He brings home the bacon. A lot of jobs, military jobs, contracting, defense contracting jobs. And that's parts of South Carolina are poor, especially those that are not, areas not close to the coast. There's a lot of tourism. So, he's got some pull down there. And so if there is going to be a MAGA challenger, it's going to have to be a really good MAGA challenger. Maybe that's why he wanted Trump's endorsement. With Trump's endorsement, maybe Lindsey Graham now feels he's unbeatable. 617-266-6868. Barbara in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Barbara, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff.
Barbara, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a front row seat to Lindsey Graham being booed off. Oh, he didn't go off the stage, but he was booed terribly in Pickett, South Carolina. That was one of the biggest rallies ever. That was the one that was about at least 100,000 people there, and it was horrible. I almost had a heat stroke there too. But Lindsey Graham came up. He couldn't even make his speech. Now, the gentleman who just called you, he's right about Lindsey's popularity. And I think this is a thing that President Trump is playing chess again. He's endorsing the guy. Here's what President Trump said when he got on the stage after everybody booed Lindsey. In fact, he came on after him, and he said, come on. He said, whenever I need liberals, I can count on Lindsey. That's what he said. Out of his mouth, okay? So, and then it was like a laugh through the audience. He said that. And that's exactly what is happening right now. What I would be surprised at happening is if he endorses any of the other rhinos. That's going to isolate Lindsey Graham. And it's also going to let him know he's going to recognize once all the other rhinos you get rid of them, he's the only one. He'll be one of very few left. If they get rid of Cassidy, Collins, what's the name? Murkowski.
Yeah, Murkowski. Yeah, she's a big one.
Yeah, I can't say. I don't like John Cornyn either. I'd like to see, maybe Wesley Hunt go after him and get another good person in there for Congress to replace Wesley and everybody. But Lindsey Graham is going to win. Not only does he have the military bases, but also, in the factories, the car factories in Greenville and Spartanburg, right where the caller lives in that area. I have family in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, so that's why I know so much about it. And they have a town called Honda. The BMW factory is in I think it's Spartanburg. And in that area, and then on the coast side, you've got even a city that's called Honda, South Carolina. They have a lot of car manufacturing down there, and good jobs, very good jobs. The people that work at BMW, because I worked with the guy that in the financial industry that I'm in, but he was doing that kind of part time. He got a new car every year. Wow. And this was maybe 10, 15 years ago, living in a $250,000 house, $250,000 in South Carolina, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. That was, you was high on the hog. Trust me, you had a semi-mansion for that kind of money down there. So Lindsey's going to get, I just think President Trump is playing chess right now. Has he endorsed any of the other rhinos?
No, that's a very good point, Barbara. That's why, again, it's why it was like a political bombshell, right, that he did it. It just, woo, you want to talk about blowing up MAGA, right, sending shockwaves across MAGA. It came out of the blue. It was such a strong endorsement, and it's the only rhino he's backing so far. It's the only rhino. And I think you're right. I think he wants to isolate Lindsey Graham a little bit and then try to pick off the other rhinos. But, I think that comment that Trump made that you reference is very telling. Basically what he's saying is, wink, wink, when I need some rhinos to line up and vote for something I want, I get Lindsey. Like, in other words, he's like Charlie's aunt, you know? You may not like her, I may not like her, but believe it or not, she does serve a purpose. And I think that's what he's trying to say. He goes, look, I hear all of you, you're booing the guy, but trust me, he is useful once in a while. And that's why I'm here. And I think that's honestly the reason why he endorsed. I think if there was, at this point, a very popular, charismatic, pro-Trump MAGA conservative that South Carolinians were talking about, I think Trump would stay neutral. I don't think he would go for this kind of an endorsement. But right now, there's nobody in the wings. They're still looking for someone to run against Lindsey. And so, he figures out, what the hell? He's done me a couple of good turns. Let me do him a good turn. And I think he knows that the rhinos are trying to blow up his presidency. I think he has no illusions anymore. I mean, there's no question. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Mitch McConnell. You mentioned Cassidy in Louisiana, frequently stabs him in the back. And then you've got, increasingly now, Mike Waltz is to me becoming a big problem. Big problem. And you can tell the way the rhinos are circling around him, defending him, circling the wagons, protecting Waltz at all costs. So we may see Waltz go. And Lindsey Graham has been quiet, uncharacteristic, because usually when the Warhawks defend someone, there's Lindsey, and the Warhawks are defending Mike Waltz. Lindsey's not saying anything about Mike Waltz. So Lindsey Graham is playing a game with Donald Trump. And he knows that if Trump was to turn on him or endorse another conservative or endorse a conservative challenger, Lindsey could be in big trouble. So I think Lindsey Graham now realizes he's got to be on the Trump team for a while. But I'm with you, Barbara. He's a snake in the grass. I don't trust Lindsey Graham. To me, he'll stab you in the back the first chance he gets. Barbara, final word to you.
He's got the capability of doing it, stabbing you in the chest if he could. I think you're 100% correct about all of that you just summed up, because that's the only way I could see him playing the game. Knowing how President Trump operates, watching what he's doing with these tariffs, how he's getting these countries to, the stock market is even gone green again, realizing what he's doing. President Trump is bringing the bacon to America, and it is unbelievable. It's phenomenal to watch him, and that's what I think is happening in South Carolina. And if someone does come, a real mega, makes me want to move down there and run against him. I'm telling you.
Oh, I'd vote for you. Really Barbara, honestly, I'd vote for you in a heartbeat. You against Lindsey Graham, I'd be on Team Barbara all the way. All the way. Barbara, God bless you and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for that call. 617-266-6868. Jeff in Ohio. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Thing about I'm sorry, but a couple callers ago they were talking about Lindsey bringing the bacon home with the defense contracts. As far as I remember, I think we've had big contracts with Carolina since World War II. I think he's just fooling them by saying, "Look what I did for you," where they're already set up to manufacture, and the base is already there. So with Lindsey Graham, he reminds me of Michael Bolton, or not Michael, John Bolton. He is a warmonger, and I think with him backing Zelensky against Zelensky is the fact that I think he's got his eyes on Iran. So with Trump pulling him in, I'm telling you, I'm starting to lose my faith, brother. I hate to say it that way, but he's made a few mistakes. And guess who was on Fox Channel yesterday gloating about getting an MS-13 guy? Why, everybody else is running around, same old play. So clock is ticking, And every day is one day closer to them taking back over, and within 100 days, taking everything away from what we built for the last 12 years. So I just hate to say it, but I see him as Trump as being vulnerable. Laura Loomer opened my eyes with what's his name, Waltz, his underlake being associated with CCP, his wife being part of the prosecution ring of
he's a Democrat. No, Alex Wong, you're dead on, Jeff. Alex Wong, Waltz's number two, who for whatever reason he keeps defending him. Again, he's a holdover from the Biden regime. Like, I find this incredible. So Alex Wong is a Democrat. His wife is a rabid liberal who went after the J6ers. You can't make this up. Alex Wong's wife's father has deep ties to the Chinese Communist Party. And Waltz is defending this guy? And he won't cut him loose? He won't fire him? So, no, there's something going on with Mike Waltz. I'm telling you right now. There's no question. And, you mentioned John Bolton. Bolton and Lindsey Graham are tied at the hip. They're very close friends. They communicate, email, talk to each other at least several times a day. Bolton is one of Trump's arch enemies, a neoconservative, warmongering, anti-Trump Republican who, as you know, tried to sabotage Trump when he was his national security advisor. And just like Lindsey Graham, smiled to Donald Trump's face, said, I support you, but behind his back, stab, stab, stab. He wanted war with North Korea. He wanted war with Iran. He wanted war with Russia. Lindsey Graham, to me, is no different. Now, I understand Trump is, making a political move here. I get it. Okay. And look, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you wish you have. And Trump is looking around and he's saying, look, man, I can't fight on every single front. And Lindsey's there for me when I need him at certain times. So I'm going to swallow this and let's move on. But he will stab Trump, mark my words, the first chance he gets, just like Bolton. And you don't even have to, it's not even on faith. He's done it already multiple times. The stuff that Lindsey Graham has said about Trump in the past, and I don't mean like 20 years ago. I'm talking during the primaries. I'm talking January 6th. It's no different from anything from CNN or MSNBC. Trump is a xenophobe. Check. A racist. Check. A bigot. Check. Not qualified temperamentally to be president. Check. Someone who bears full responsibility for January 6th and should no longer lead the Republican Party. Check. That Trump and Trumpism is a crime against the Republican Party, and they should both be buried forever. That's Lindsey Graham. Just maybe 5 years ago. Check. There's no difference between Lindsey Graham and Mitt Romney, or Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell. So, now, I don't know if Trump's taking the old adage, keep your friends close, keep your enemies even closer. I mean, I'm sure Trump has his reasons. All I'm saying is, don't trust this snake, because the first chance he gets, he'll bite you. And he'll bite you good. Thank you for that call, Jeff. 617-266-6868. John in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure, John.
Just very quickly before I get to Lindsey Graham, I called a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you caught this. I was predicting the end of the Democratic Party, and I didn't know if you saw that Bernie Sanders was advising his left-wing compatriots, comrades, to run as independents in the upcoming elections. So I'm keeping a scorecard. I'm keeping a scoreboard. And I'm checking that box because it's going to happen. But I'll move on to Lindsey Graham. You know, we're obviously not privy to the backroom deals and the political gamesmanship. I imagine it was something like Lindsey Graham saying to Donald, if you come out and endorse me, you'll have my support for this, and I'm a big wig in the old guard, and we'll help you here. And I'm sure there's a lot of that going on, but instantly what it makes me think of is The Godfather, and you just touched on it a little bit with the friends close and your enemies closer. I don't know if you've seen The Godfather 2, but Michael's kind of playing one off the other to find out who the traitor is. And there could be a little of that going on. He's telling the one big guy I'm your friend. He's telling the other big guy, no, I'm your friend. And eventually he finds out it's his brother. But that kind of seems like it might be in play here. And Barbara kind of hit on that too. And then the other thing was Trump. Well, I don't know if you think there could be like any. She said the chat.
Yeah, no, I think, look, John, there's definitely horse trading going on. There's no question. Look, Lindsey Graham has promised to do certain things for Trump in exchange for this endorsement. And I suspect one of them is maybe delivering a deal with Ukraine, because Lindsey has influence on Zelensky. 718 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to get to Elon and DOGE because there's some very big developments on that front. But here's another log. I want to throw a big log on the fire. 617-266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. And again, it's revenge of the rhinos. So what we're starting to see now, and I don't think it's going to work, but you can see now there's a move being made. President Trump had to announce yesterday that he is withdrawing Elise Stefanik. As you know, she's a congresswoman from New York. He topped her to be his the ambassador, the American ambassador at the United Nations. Prestigious job, very important job. Elise Stefanik has been a very strong supporter of Trump and the MAGA agenda. And so Trump said, she's my gal. I want her at the UN defending me, defending America, defending American national interests. Yesterday, he had to withdraw or pull back her nomination. Why? Because they fear that because Stefanik is from a purple district, leans Republican, but still purplish, that the rhinos, I kid you not, were going to run a weak anti-Trump candidate, potentially, as her successor. And if they did that, they would probably lose the seat to the Democrats. Now, many of you may be saying, Jeff. Okay, so they lose the seat to the Democrats. Well, the problem is, right now, as things are laid out in the House of Representatives, the Republicans have 218 seats, the Democrats 213. In other words, the GOP has a razor-thin majority. Emphasis on razor-thin. They lose just a couple of seats, literally 2 seats, in fact. It's over. It's over. Hakeem Jeffries becomes House Majority Leader. Democrats take over all the committees. And before you know it, they're going to impeach Donald Trump and try to stop his presidency dead in its tracks. So they started to do the vote counting, and they said, we can't afford to lose her. Now, to her credit, and she was burned, I'm going to be honest, Elise Stefanik was burned. They promised her the job. She already gave up some of her positions at the Republican leadership at the House conference. You know, she thought she was going to be the next U.S. ambassador to the UN. And she was going to be, she had the votes. She would have easily been confirmed. Well, she's taking one for the team. She came out and said, fine, I'm withdrawing my nomination. I don't want us to lose our House majority. And if Trump needs me in Congress, then I'm going to stay in Congress. Now, the other reason why this is happening, and again, this guy Mike Waltz is really starting to get on my nerves. But I'm just being, everywhere I look now, I keep bumping into this guy. So, as you know, he became Trump's national security advisor. You don't need Senate confirmation for that position. So he was never vetted, say, the way Hegseth was, or Rubio, or I just run down your list, whatever, Scott Bessent at Treasury, or all of these other, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., or Tulsi Gabbard. So he was appointed by Trump to be national security advisor. Well, Waltz was a member of Congress in Florida. Well, now there's going to be a special election in Florida for Mike Waltz's seat. And guess what? The Rhinos are blowing that campaign. Florida Republicans are now warning the White House, saying that these Rhinos who are trying to replace Waltz and the Republican operation down there, there's no messaging, there's no fundraising, there's no advertising, there's no campaigning. And yes, this is red Florida, but you still got to try to win. You still got to campaign to win. You still got to be on the airwaves. In other words, many Republicans in that district aren't even aware there's an election. And you've got the Democrats, on the other hand, supercharged, Trump derangement syndrome. They're riding this anti-Trump wave within their party. They are killing the Republicans on fundraising. They've got ads everywhere. They're bombarding local media, local TV. They've got billboards. They've got ground troops. They want to pick off that seat. Now, you lose that seat and you lose Stefanik's seat, you've just lost the majority. You just lost your majority. That's why Trump had to withdraw and pull back Elise Stefanik's nomination. Now, I just want to make one other point and then go to the phone lines. 617-266-6868. Who the hell is the political person in Trump's orbit with such a thin majority in the House? What genius thought, hey, let's just pillage the Florida congressional delegation? Hey, let's just pillage the New York delegation. Let's just go in there and take member of Congress after member of Congress and take them off the board, put them into the administration, and not think about maybe if you've only got a 2-3 seat majority, maybe you could lose those races in a special election when most voters, except, the most diehard partisans, are paying attention. In this case, the Democrats. And maybe you could jeopardize Trump's presidency by costing us the House this early in his presidency. Stefanik now had to withdraw. The Rhinos are bungling the district, that race for Waltz's seat. Trump has got, again, he's got to put out this fire. DeSantis needs to get involved. The Florida Republicans need to get involved. And they need to activate their people and tell the voters in Waltz's district that the stakes are very high. We cannot afford to lose even one more seat to the Democrats. Whatever you may think of MAGA Mike, okay, and you know me, I call him Mini Mike. The fact of the matter is, he is infinitely better than Hakeem Jeffries. Because as sure as the sun rises, If the Democrats take over the House, they're going to impeach Trump. They would have impeached him on Signalgate. It'll be impeachment after impeachment, defunding after defunding. They will make Trump's life a nightmare. Save the House before it's too late. Your calls next. 7:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. So just to conclude, and then I want to go right back to the phone lines. 617-266-6868. Couple lines are open if you want to jump on. So Elise Stefanik, again, taking one for the team, has decided to withdraw as UN ambassador, as America's ambassador to the UN, because they just can't risk losing her congressional seat once she goes to the UN when there's a special election. And so Trump, now realizing he's got a 2-seat majority in the House, he can't lose anything at this point. And you see the Rhinos trying to sabotage him with Elise Stefanik. You have Rhinos now trying to sabotage him with Mike Waltz's seat in Florida. You've got Mike Waltz himself clearly now doing tremendous damage to the president with Signalgate. The Rhinos now are operating, colluding with the Democrats to try to cripple and potentially bring down Trump's presidency. That's why I bring it full circle now to Lindsey Graham. It's time that we realize, as conservatives, as Trump supporters, that the Rhinos are every bit our enemy as the Democrats. Whether we like it or not, reality is reality is reality. You know, as Socrates famously said, if you want to solve a problem, you have to first be willing to stare reality in the face. In other words, you have to acknowledge what the problem is. And we're fighting a two-front war. Whether we want to fight it, don't want to fight it, it really doesn't matter. This war has been waged on us. It's been relentless. And if we're to prevail, and I think honestly we will prevail, because I've never seen a presidency as successful as Donald Trump's in the first several months. And we have the truth on our side. And I honestly believe we have history now on our side. But to win, we have to fight. And to fight, we have to know who our enemies are. And so this is a two-front war. And it's not just the Democrats that we're fighting. It's these Judas Rhinos. And that's why if we're going to win, we have to purge the Republican Party of every single establishment, globalist, Rhino Republican. Because they just don't stop. And they don't want to stop. You see, they see us as the enemy. And someone mentioned Breitbart News earlier. I just want to say one other thing and then go right back to the phone lines. Breitbart is one of about 15 or 20 newspapers, websites, news sites that I always look at, read, research for my show prep for this show every single day. And they're a pro-Trump, pro-MAGA website, founded originally by Andrew Breitbart, obviously, and then taken over by Steve Bannon before he stepped aside. So it's got a very strong pedigree. There is a brilliant piece, I urge all of you to read it, on Breitbart about the Wall Street Journal and the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal. And the reason why you say, well, Jeff, the Wall Street Journal, who cares? It's the flagship paper of the Murdoch empire. It's where Fox News gets almost all of its intellectual and journalistic ammunition from. And it's the paper, and the editorial page in particular, is the mouthpiece for the Rhinos. If you want to know what Chris Christie, Manja Christie, okay, Manja, Krispy Kreme Christie is going to say when he goes on ABC This Week with Stephanopoulos, just read the Wall Street Journal editorial page. If you want to know what McConnell's going to say, or Susan Collins, or Murkowski, or Lindsey Graham, just in the morning, read the editorial page and go, oh my God, 3 hours later, there's Lindsey Graham mouthing the exact same points. It's incredible. Or Mitch McConnell. Oh my God. It's almost word for word. Today's editorial on tariffs or whatever it may be, on Ukraine or whatever. The point being that the Wall Street Journal editorial page has been waging a relentless war against Trump and the MAGA movement for the last 10 years. And they've been every bit as vicious and hostile to Trump as the New York Times, the Washington Post, this is CNN, MS Left BC, you name it. So even in terms of the media, and the Breitbart piece, I think, really makes that very clear, Fox News, with the exception of a few shows, is quite hostile to Trump. Contrary to what the media, the left, keeps trying to tell you, they don't like Trump's tariffs. They don't like his position on Ukraine. They don't like a lot of his mass deportations when it comes to non-criminals. You could just go on, list after list after list. There's many things about Donald Trump, believe me, they're not happy about or they don't want to talk about. So we have to understand that this war is never going to end until the rhinos are defeated. And once you defeat the rhinos, then you can defeat the Democrats and the deep state. And I've always said this. Your worst enemy is the one that stabs you in the back. Say what you want about the Democrats, to give the devil his due. They tell you they're your enemy. They tell you to your face. They tell you. They can't make it clearer. But the rhinos pretend to be your friend. They get in the tent with you. They're in your home. They pretend that they're with you. Like Judas with the apostles. Remember, Jesus said to, the way Trump has been talking to many of these rhinos, Jesus said to Judas, you will betray me. And Judas said, no, I will never betray you. I love you. How could I betray you? And he even kisses Jesus on the cheek. The kiss of Judas. And yet for his 30 pieces of silver, he crucified him, or helped to get him crucified. Sold him out. That's Lindsey Graham. That's Chris Sununu. That's Charlie Baker. That's Susan Collins. That's Lisa Murkowski. Okay, that's Mitch McConnell. That's Mitt Romney. That's the Wall Street Journal. That's, frankly, most of Fox News. Not all, but most. And until we understand that, you can't win a war when people who are supposed to be on your side are constantly shooting you in the back. You need someone in the foxhole that is not stabbing you in the back, but has your back. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. My question to you, do you fear that the rhinos now are trying to sabotage Trump's presidency? And Mike Waltz, why are the rhinos defending him? And if they're defending him, doesn't that tell us everything we need to know? 749 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, lines are jammed. I want to go to the phone lines. Did you happen to watch Elon Musk's interview with Bret Baier last night? and his whole DOGE team. It was incredible. I'm going to get to it later in the show, I promise. You want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. Ho, ho, ho. Holy shamoli. I mean, compelling, riveting television. I mean, what they're uncovering, holy mackerel, okay? Everybody who's a patriot should be supporting this. Hell, if you're a taxpayer, you should be supporting this. If you're an American citizen, you should be supporting this. Now, my point is just this. When you hear the astounding extent of government corruption and the waste and the rampant fraud and the outlandish abuse, and you don't back DOGE, and you call yourself a Republican or a conservative? Hat tip to Sergeant Rock, just to prove an exclamation point to everything I've been talking about. Guess which Republican broke party lines recently to vote yes on an amendment to defund DOGE? Okay, now this person was the only Republican to do so. And it failed. The attempt failed, 48-52. But this Republican, again, stabbed Trump and Elon and you and me in the back. Lisa Murkowski, another Rhino senator from Alaska. So why would she be against DOGE? If you claim to be any kind of a Republican or a conservative or a steward of people's taxpayer dollars. And that's exactly what I mean. How are you going to win a war? With the likes of Lindsey Graham or Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski or Mitch the Squish? That's Trump's fundamental Achilles heel right now. He doesn't have 50 solid votes in the House that will back him no matter what. And he doesn't have 218 Republican votes in the House that will back him no matter what. So if you're asking yourself, why isn't Trump chalking up more victories in Congress? He's surrounded by Judases. That's his problem. He keeps getting shot in the back. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. John in Woburn. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hello, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
This morning's conversation is really so spot on. And just to go back to, what is happening with the Trump administration this time compared to the last administration, he just has, in my opinion, so many more smart people that really are part of the MAGA movement. And, he's bringing the population of the country with him. We are winning, in my opinion, this war. And it's really against the globalists and the communists versus those people who love this country and really want freedom. And they cherish that freedom that our Constitution gives them, the Bill of Rights. And, that's a real battle. And then what does Trump have to do to keep trying to achieve that? Because that's the overall battle. It's the globalist communist movement trying to take over and steal the freedoms away from all the patriots in this country, as well as the people of the world. So one of the things to get back to, I think, real quickly, is the role BlackRock is playing in this whole scheme of things. Now, I think Trump was able to utilize them to get China out of the Panama Canal ports. And I think he's really trying to utilize all the big money to take over for, our interest in Greenland. So I think ultimately he's trying to play the game of chess, world chess, as best he can with the players. Like you say, you have to go to war with the army you have. And I just think he's learned so much from his previous administration and all the mistakes that were made there. And, he's got a lot of real smart people with him that are on board with his agenda versus the globalist and the communists. And there's so many important people like yourself, Carolyn Levitt, Rubio. There's so many in the vice president and Elon. No one can forget Elon, but look at the team of brilliant people that he's brought on board in DOGE, which was exhibited in last night's Brett's interview with Elon and his team.
It was an incredible 30 minutes. No, I completely, John, on every point, I agree with you. Look, it's a much stronger second administration. I'm not talking about results. Trump had phenomenal results, almost like a one-man force of nature in that first term. But the quality of his team, right, his administration, is much better now than it was the first time. There's no question. And overall, much more loyal. Real MAGA supporters are with him now. You mentioned Caroline Levitt, press secretary. She hits it out of the park almost every day. I think J.D. Vance was a brilliant pick as a vice president. Miller as his deputy chief of staff, phenomenal. Susie Wiles, she's in the shadows. She works behind the scenes. She has been a rock for Trump, a rock. And she's also diehard MAGA conservative. Rubio, I have to say, I'm going to be honest, I had doubts about him. But so far, it's still early, but so far, he is really stepping up to the plate. I'm very impressed with him. Look, I disagree with Grace, obviously. I think Pete Hegseth has done an outstanding job as Secretary of Defense. I mean, Bessent at Treasury. I could go on and on. Lutnick at Commerce. The way he's been handling, he's basically been the guy quarterbacking these tariffs. He's done a phenomenal job. Outstanding job. Homan, border czar, Kristi Noem, Homeland Security. I mean, look, they're going into sanctuary cities. They're busting up sanctuary cities. They're deporting a lot of these scumbag, criminal, illegal aliens. Now, the courts are blocking him. And that's where I think Pam Bondi, forgive me, really has to step up and be. I wish Bondi was stronger, but she is loyal to the president. There's no question. It's not Porterhouse Steak Bill Barr that you have there. She's loyal. The question is she effective? And we're going to find out soon. But overall, it's look, Elon, what I saw last night, that's an all-star. That whole team is absolutely incredible. And you can see the patriotism. You can see the talent. You can see the sincerity. And again, I'm just shocked at the difference between what the media portrays and the reality. They're portraying these people like these cost-cutting monsters. They just go around, ha, we're going to cut another 200,000 jobs. Let them starve. Like, this is, literally they're portraying Elon Musk as this power-mad, Hitler. He's another Hitler 2.0, a Mussolini, a Lenin. That's how they're portraying him. And instead you just see him, he's a bit nerdy. I'm not saying it's in a critical way. I'm just, he's an eccentric billionaire. His IQ is off the charts. You can tell he's a genius, a little eccentric, a little nerdy. He's got Asperger's, fine. One of my family members, one of my nephews has Asperger's. It's okay. He's also, by the way, very high IQ. A little socially, strange, awkward, but because of the Asperger's, but man, is he bright. Okay. So you look at someone like Elon and you're like, he's brilliant. He's focused. He's patriotic. He's put together an incredible, impressive team. And then you just listen to them describe, blow by blow, what they're uncovering, the massive fraud, the unbelievable blatant waste. And I thought, the killer line, there were so many great lines, but the killer line was, he goes, they just keep saying they oppose us and we're wrong and it's illegal and it's unconstitutional and blah, 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 blah. But they never disagree with the specific cut that we've made. Like, in other words, they can't defend anything that we're specifically saying needs to go. Because it's that outrageous. It was honestly what I saw last night. I just kept saying, masterclass in having the Department of Government Efficiency and of putting Elon to head it. Absolute genius on the part of Trump to have come up with this idea and for Elon to be implementing this idea. So I agree with you, John. This is a very different second term. Very different second administration. And let me just add one last thing, and thank you for that call, because I want to do Kuhner's call log. But just very quick, Susie Wiles did an interview, rare interview. She hardly ever talks to the media. And she was asked point blank about Donald Trump. You've known him for many years. Okay, you've basically been his private chief of staff. Now it's White House, but private chief of staff years and years. Nobody outside of his wife and his family. Nobody knows him more. Nobody has spent more time with him in close personal quarters than Susie Wiles. And they said, has he changed since the assassination? And since his first term? And she says, no question. In fact, these are her words, saying he's better now than he was in his first term. Not that he was bad, far from it. She said he was excellent. She says, I'm telling you, he's more disciplined. He's more focused. He picks his fights more carefully now. He harnesses his resources more. He's much more experienced in terms of how Washington works, who the players are. She says, you're looking at a man with much more wisdom and experience this time than the first time around. And then she said this, I'm telling you, he's a changed man since Butler, Pennsylvania. He stared death in the face. He knows he was a millimeter away from meeting his maker. And he has become convinced that God saved him for a specific purpose. And it wasn't just to win the election. It was to complete the revolution, the MAGA movement that started 10 years ago. And as far as Donald Trump is concerned, it's almost as if he faced death and then, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. My life will not have been worth it if I don't finish what we've started. He doesn't want to meet his maker, not having fulfilled what he believes is the reason why God put him on this planet. And so she says there is a depth to him. There is an intensity to him. There is an energy, a focus, a determination, a steel, iron-like determination. She goes, I've never seen anything like that. And notice, look at him. He's working 20 hours a day. He's moving on every front. He's like a hurricane because he's a man on a mission. Okay, you know what it is? 8-ish. It's supposed to be at 8 o'clock, but anyway, 8-ish. Caller of the week, Kuhner's call log.
It's time for Kuhner's call log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Antoine.
I think this is a bunch of crap because if this journalist had military things to expose, I think that he would have exposed it. I want Pete Hegseth to release the whole text chain and expose this journalist that he's lying. I wish they would say, he already stated yesterday, there was no military chat or none of this about who we're going to bomb or who we're going to do this to. So why won't they just release it, right? And expose this journalist as a liar. It's just another one of these MSDN, boring DC, anonymous sources that need to be rooted out of media. I love the way, when you come with a source, I know you're right on. But these people with these anonymous sources and saying, I have this information, and we don't hold their feet to the fire. This is why the liberal media and the rest of the established media is done for me and done for us. We're done. We're just done.
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. Best audience in the business. Jeff. You say it all the time. I know, but it's true. Okay, let's go to Janice in Melrose. Thanks for holding, Janice, and welcome.
I think one reason that Trump is endorsing Lindsey Graham, he needs his vote for his one big, beautiful bill that he needs to pass in the Senate. And I'm getting very concerned that the Senate is dragging their feet, and they're talking about now August or September before they get to the taxes. And I think that's too late. I've been getting emails from Steve Moore since before Trump took office saying that the first thing he needs to do is get that tax bill passed because he made the mistake in his first term of doing health care first, and by the time they got the taxes passed, there was not enough time before the midterms for the economy to take off. And that's one way that they can sabotage him, is just stall until, what if he signs it in December? Then you've got like maybe 6 months before the midterms start, and it's not enough time for the economy to take off.
You're a genius.
I think
Janice, I'm telling you, you're a genius. I'm serious. I don't know if you ever measured your IQ, but I'm telling you it's above 140. Guaranteed. You're a genius. Look, you nailed it. And I think, I didn't even think of that, but you're right. You're right about Lindsey. Look, just do the math. Okay, I want to get to your substantial point, right? About delay to undercut Trump's economic agenda. But you nailed it. Look, it's 53-47. That's the Senate. Okay, it is what it is. So every Democrat is going to vote against Trump. No matter what. It doesn't matter. You've got Mitch McConnell. That's a no. You've got Lisa Murkowski. That's a no. You've got Susan Collins. That's a no. You're now at 50. He needs Lindsey. I think you nailed it. That's one of the reasons why he had to endorse him. It's like, I need the guy. If it's 51, that's it. I can't pass my budget. I can't pass my tax cuts, my deregulation, my energy dominance. He's going to put it all into one big, beautiful bill. All of it. I can't pass it. So I can do 50 with J.D. Vance as the tiebreaker. But if it's 51 against, I'm done. And I've got 3 rhinos that I can't trust as far as I can throw them. So I think you're absolutely dead on. Now, as for the substance, I've been saying this now for over a month. Janice, honest to goodness, what the hell do they do up there? Like, that's what I want to know. How long does it take to put a bill together? Whether it's the House, whether it's the Senate. I mean, we've got inflation. We've got the economy we've got to revive after all the destruction under Biden, and they're just dragging it out and dragging it out. He's inaugurated January, whatever it was, January 20th, 21st, whatever the date. We're now into late March. A couple days is going to be April Fool's Day. And I read that same story as you did. They're saying, well, maybe late summer, like August. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, so what? It takes you guys, 6 months to pass a bill? Like, what do you do up there? Outside of hold hearings and grandstand. And I think you're right. I think they're slow walking it. They don't want the economy to boom, because it will boom. If this baby passes, oh man, will the economy boom. And I think they're looking to undercut him at the midterms. And my fear is that the swamp, and there's a lot of Republicans who are part of that swamp, would rather see the Democrats come back to power in the House so Trump faces impeachment after impeachment. Because you see, Janice, deep down, I want to get your take on this. What I've been reading whether it's the Wall Street Journal, the Hill newspaper. I read them because I want to know what the swamp is thinking. Republicans are privately saying, we just got to ride out 4 more years of Trump. And then it'll be back to business as usual. And if you notice, they always keep attacking J.D. Vance. If you go to the media now, they're always viciously attacking J.D. because they don't want him to be the heir apparent to Trump. Because he's the one guy that if he wins, say, 2028, the Republican nomination, and becomes president, he's going to continue Trumpism. He's going to continue MAGA and the America First movement. So they want to wait out Donald Trump. That's their goal. And then they got to knock off J.D. Vance. And they figure if they can do that, then, hey, the swamp is back, the establishment is back, and we can just put Trump and his whole movement in the rearview mirror. And it's business as usual again. What say you, Janice?
I agree with you. I think they just want to slow walk everything until 4 years is over. But Kuhner country needs to get on John Thune's back and push him to deal with taxes now. I mean, what are they doing until August? I don't understand.
I'm so with you. Oh, we want a bill now. I mean, you've had February, now March. We want a bill in April. That's it. By the spring, we want a bill. Like, I mean, guys, 90 days? I think 90 days is enough. Call me crazy. 820 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, an absolutely stellar performance last night by Elon Musk and the entire DOGE team. And look, as I said earlier, and I really want to stress this, it is night and day what the media is portraying and the reality. And last night, I want to give a hat tip to Brett Baer. I'm not a big fan of his, but I thought he did an outstanding job. It was a very good interview. He let Elon and the DOGE team speak. And so you see Elon, and you see him with the team, and literally some of them, I'm not kidding, are actual rocket scientists. I mean, they're the top IT people, top minds in the country, and many of them, by the way, could be commanding millions and millions of dollars in salaries and are working for peanuts, some of them free, for the good of the country. And they're being vilified, they're being demonized, they're getting death threats. But then you listen to them speak, and look, I'm telling you, Trump, this is a revolution. It's a revolution in government. It's a revolution in the truth. It's a revolution in how to drain a corrupt bureaucracy, a massive federal bureaucracy, and a completely corrupt political system. I want you to listen now to Musk and with Brett Baer yesterday on Fox saying, look, let's make no mistake about it. We're not just here to trim a little there and trim a little here. What we're doing is truly a revolution in how government is supposed to work. Efficient, lean, mean, and effective. Roll cut 1, Mike.
This is a revolution, and I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future. But are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely.
Well, of course, because people are wedded to the status quo. You have vested interests that want to keep up the status quo, especially when you're talking about trillions, literally. I'm not exaggerating. Trillions of dollars that they have been making money off. So yeah, of course, they're going to scream bloody murder. People who are benefiting from a corrupt system don't want to see that corrupt system reformed and changed. Now, listen to Elon. one of the things that he learned when he was at PayPal, it's when you listen to how many businesses he's owned and how many of them have transformed our lives, America, American society, really the world. It's just incredible. But listen to him saying, you don't understand, with my private sector experience, the ones who complain the most are the actual fraudsters because it's all a scam. Now, listen to this. Stacey Abrams, remember her? She claimed that elections were stolen from her, the Georgia Democrat, who the media kept putting out there all the time. She was running practically a non-existent, non-governmental organization, some kind of a green energy NGO. Basically, it was just on the books, but it really didn't exist. And it was a slush fund. They were funneling billions and billions of our taxpayer dollars. And where the money went, who the hell knows? It went in Abrams' pocket and a lot of other pockets of donors to the Biden regime. Listen now, you want to talk about fraud. Holy mackerel. Roll cut 1A, Mike.
One of the things I learned at PayPal was who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters. It's a tell. There's some of these NGOs that are crazy, like the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams' NGO that basically didn't exist and suddenly gets $2 billion awarded from the federal government. Why? And there are many such cases like that.
So $2 billion for basically an organization that's on paper. And now you know why she's been run. She's everywhere, by the way. She's on The View. She's on CNN. She's on MSNBC. We're all gonna die. We're not doing research on climate change. No, you don't like the fact that you can't stuff your pockets with our money anymore. So, Brett Baer asks the question that the establishment media has been, the narrative that they've been pushing. But if you cut all this waste, fraud, and abuse, what about your 94-year-old granny? What about your 94-year-old granny? She's not going to get her Social Security check. In other words, you're going to accidentally cut her out. And grandma is not going to get her check. And grandma is going to die. They're trying to petrify the seniors. By the way, they're trying to scare everybody. People on Medicare, people on Medicaid, people on food stamps. It doesn't matter. Veterans, you're not going to get your benefits. You're not going to get your checks. You're not going to get your money. Elon's going to cut it all. He's going to think you're a fraud when you're not. Elon addresses it head on. You got to hear it to believe it. Trust me. All of your calls and reaction next. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's 8:50, as you know. I don't want to do this to you, okay? I don't want to raise your blood pressure. I really don't. I mean, this is just incredible. But here it is. Okay, so please just breathe, because that's what I do. That's how I get through this stuff. You just breathe and say, you know what? It's great, at least, that the fraud is now being uncovered and that the problem, thank the Lord, is being fixed. Okay? So that's the way to look at it. The glass is not half empty. The glass is half full. That's the way we have to look at it. So, Social Security. They're creating all of these these bogus direct deposit accounts. They're ripping people off left, right, and center. Okay? Left, right, and center. They're stealing from actual Social Security recipients. Okay? From grandma and grandpa. And it's going on every single day. Then, as we found out, you have over 10 to 15 million people on the Social Security Administration database over the age of 120 years old, and guess what? They're still alive. They're still alive. They have found the fountain of youth. And so, of course, how much money is that draining from the entire Social Security system? So you've got one of the biggest scandals in American history. And listen to this. You want to know how long they have known about this problem? And just let it sit there and fester and fester and fester? Again, please. Just breathe. Just breathe. I don't want anybody to get a heart attack. Roll cut 3A. And by the way, this is the DOGE engineer, Steve Davis. So he's the one giving the info to Brett Baer, as Elon is looking on in utter astonishment, like shaking his head like, yeah, you won't believe this one, Brett. Roll cut 3A, Mike.
The amount of issues that were the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yeah. Correct.
15 million.
Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem. Again, pre-existing problems since 2008 at least, from an IG report. So there were some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this, 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20 million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use those for good intentions. And so one of the things the DOGE team is doing is carefully and very methodically looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
Since 2008. I thank the Lord I played the clip because you wouldn't believe me. Had I said, they've been doing this since 2008. And they knew about it. Like, there was an inspector general report that said, you've got 15 million people that apparently are alive over the age of 120. So their Social Security numbers are out there floating around. You've got people, God knows how many checks are being given out to these people. All of this massive rampant fraud, which is costing us tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars. And nobody did anything. Nobody. George Bush, Obama, nobody. Republicans, Democrats, nobody. And these guys are like, do you realize, they're looking at each other like, do you realize how freaking corrupt this is? And we're the bad guys? We're the bad guys. We're the threat, quote unquote. We're the threat to democracy. Because now I'm telling you, mark my words. I guarantee it. I'll bet you the best steak at the best steakhouse of your choice. Okay? Congressmen are in on this scam. Members of Congress, lobbyists, people in the administration. I mean, in terms of the bureaucracy. In administration by the massive federal bureaucracy. Their children are in on it. We are talking about a scam of historic proportions. Illegals are in on this. They're sending Social Security checks to God knows how many people. People are claiming phony Social Security numbers that go back 130, 140, 150 years. All right? This is one of the greatest frauds in the history of the United States. And when everything is said and done, I'm telling you, if you take it over a 17-year period, we're looking at trillions of dollars. Hundreds of billions a year, but trillions over almost, nearly 20 years now. Whatever, 17 years. Now, you tell me, you find out there's over 20 million people still listed as being alive in the Social Security Administration database and nobody does anything? Now you know why they have to destroy Elon Musk. Now you know why they have to destroy his DOGE team. Now you know why he's been the victim of an almost unprecedented, because they did it to Trump, but he's right up there now with Trump, an almost unprecedented demonization, public vilification campaign. Media propaganda, media hatred, that now it's, look, tomorrow is Tesla takedown day. Literally, tomorrow there are going to be massive riots and mobs, Molotov cocktails, Tesla cars are going to be burned, Tesla dealerships are going to be targeted, they're going to be mobbed, Tesla stores are going to be shot at. That's how much rage and fury they have inculcated in the general population. And when you ask them specifically, well, what has Elon done that deserves this? Like, what specifically has he cut? What has he cut that deserves this? They can't tell you. They can't tell you. It's cutting Social Security. No, Social Security hasn't been cut. In fact, he's finding all this waste, fraud, and abuse. He's going to save Social Security. It's the exact opposite. Whatever reason they give you, it's general, it's vague, it's not specific, it's all based on emotion and propaganda.
It's absurd that Elon Musk is trying to eliminate billions of dollars from Social Security.
Elon Musk and President Trump have set their sights on cutting Social Security.
Their goal is clear: destroy Social Security from within.
Okay, that's just a taste. That's Schumer. That's Maggie Hassan from New Hampshire. That's members, Democrat senators going on TV and ramping up, whipping up this frenzy against Elon. Now to the point that Tesla cars are being burned, destroyed. You had one guy light himself on fire. Literally, light himself. Look it up. He saw a Tesla car, and he was so enraged because this is such a threat to democracy. This is that Elon is imposing a Nazi dictatorship, that he literally lit himself on fire. A grown man lit himself on fire. And they're just saving money. Like, obvious waste, obvious fraud. I mean, that any sane person would be like, bravo. Like, honestly, I listened to them last night, and I'm thinking, give everyone a medal. Like a congressional, congressional medal of honor. Bang, 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 on everyone's chest. Let me just play one more, okay? I want to just play one more. Please indulge me, because this stuff is just too good. Listen now to this. All this talk, oh my God, these cuts, oh my God, people are being laid off. Veterans are sleeping on the streets because of this. People are losing their jobs left, right, and center. Oh my God, it's just, he's killing people. Okay. Do you know how much they've actually cut? Do you know how much they've actually cut from the federal bureaucracy? Here it comes, baby. Get ready. Roll cut 6. A mic.
And what are the budgetary savings goals, and how much do you think you've achieved so far?
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. From a nominal deficit of $2 trillion to try to cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion, or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. We want to reduce the spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%, which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and there's a lot of waste and fraud. So we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
Now they're asked. Okay, here's DOGE personal manager Anthony Armstrong. So that's the benchmark. Elon Musk says, look, we want to take spending from $6 trillion to $5 trillion. That's it. We think we can, that's 15%. We think there's 15% easy. In fact, at another point, they said that they're finding $4 billion a day in fraud. $4 billion a day, every day. It doesn't matter where they look. Any aspect of the federal government, any aspect of the federal bureaucracy, $4 billion, $4 billion, $4 billion, $4 billion. So they're saying you can easily get $1 trillion cut. It's a no-brainer. That would cut the deficit in half. It would cut the budget from 6 to 5 trillion, saving us a ton of money. But how much have you actually cut? That's the question now. I want you to listen. This is his personnel manager, Anthony Armstrong. Okay, DOGE personnel manager. Listen now to this. How much have they actually cut? Roll cut 7D, Mike.
And you've heard a lot of news about rifts, about people getting fired. At this moment in time, less than 0.15, not 1.5, less than 0.15 of the federal workforce has actually been given a RIF notice.
So they're selected if they're leaving.
It is
basically almost no one's gotten fired. That's what we're saying.
Not 15% have been fired. No. Not 1.5% of the bureaucracy has been fired. No. 0.15% has been fired. Now, there have been several 100,000 people who've lost their jobs. But those were buyouts. They agreed to the buyouts. In other words, it was voluntary. They said, I am redundant. Okay, they've caught me. All I do is push paper around here. You know what? Not bad. It's a nice buyout. They're getting a full salary until September. Full salary and benefits until September. They're getting like 6-7 months to find another job. Full salary. So many have taken the buyouts. But in terms of actually, being laid off, losing their job, against your will, 0.15%. Let me repeat it. 0.15%. Now, you see how much the media has been lying? It's just, it was one of the most mind-boggling interviews I've ever seen. Geniuses in a room, highly talented, highly capable, rational, calm, sensible, patriotic, every single one of them. Many of them very, 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 very humble. Passionate, yeah, you're right, passionate about the country. Sorry, Mike? Yeah, compassionate. Yeah, forgive me. Compassionate about the country. Mike is the one saying, actually, Jeff, they sound very compassionate. And they're just like howdy doody. Like, you just see these guys and they're like, yeah, you just wouldn't believe how much is being stolen. It's just, another part, I really want to go to phones now, but they're saying, one of the things we really wanted is, listen to this, for all the computers across the entire federal government to talk to each other. That they are synchronized and integrated so that the left hand knows what the right hand is doing and the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. And I'm looking at this, my jaw is almost on the floor, and I'm like, this is Hitler? These are your white supremacists? These are the guys that are going to destroy democracy? You just see these guys. These are tech guys. And they're just and they're looking at each other, nodding their head up and down. Yeah, we just want the computers to talk to each other. It'll save us a lot of money. And it'll make the government just so much more efficient. And then you can catch a lot of this fraud. Because if all the computers are talking to each other, then we'll know. No, that guy's a fraud. He shouldn't be entitled to this. No, he scammed them before. Red flag. I'm telling you, DOGE is one of the greatest things Trump has ever done. Historic move, historic Department of Government efficiency, And I think Elon Musk is a hero. He is an American patriot and a hero. Agree, disagree. Denise in Beverly. Thanks for holding, Denise, and welcome.
Hi. Hey, Jeff. How are you doing?
Good, very good.
I got to tell you something. I watched that. I live that show so everybody in the world can see it last night, and I guess he's going to be on again tonight. Those people, those brilliant people at DOGE, and I just have to tell you this. Everybody I talk to is so afraid they're going to lose their Social Security, right? So I just lost a friend last night, a friend, and because she told me that she would be in the same position I'd be in, because I'll be 70 and I still have to work until I drop dead because I don't get enough money from Social Security to live on. So she was telling me she lucked out because she got money from her brother. Her mother died, she got the house, and then her brother died and left her and her sister a lot of money. She never has to worry about that. So that's great, And she goes, well, they're cutting our Social Security and our Medicare and all this stuff. And I said, no, they're not. I said, they're cutting the fraud. I said, they're cutting out all the fraud, Nancy, right? So then she wrote me this. She goes, I truly have no words. I can see there is no sense in talking to someone so closed-minded. You've always been such an advocate for people with addictions, but wait till he starts screwing with Medicare. Those people will be in big trouble, and some will die. I don't hate you, but disagree so strongly that there is no point in us having a friendship. I believe anyone who participates in January 6th is a traitor to this country. No reply necessary. But I replied and told her that Pelosi didn't put in the things, whatever. But anyways, I sent her that video, that whole live video of the dogs. And I'm hoping, I told her, I said, make sure you listen to this. Because Elon Musk said it's going to help our Social Security, give us more money. And oh my God, they were brilliant last night, Jeff. And you know what? The left is so jealous. They are so jealous that Trump, he's the best president ever.
Oh, and I agree. I agree. He's now becoming one of the greatest presidents of all time. And Denise, I just want to go back to your friend. She's saying you're closed-minded. Look at the one who's closed-minded. It's her. She won't even want to listen to the other side. She won't even want to contemplate what they're saying. And all you got to do, Denise, is ask her this question. What if they cut from Social Security? Just show me. Prove it to me. Okay, where? In other words, show me your Social Security check. I'll show you mine. Where have they cut it from mine? Because I'm still getting the same amount. Are you getting less? If they've cut Social Security, what did they cut? What are you getting now that you were getting under Biden? What's the difference? In other words, show me evidence. It's all emotional. It's all emotion driven by lies, propaganda, and the media. Hate. And they're so brainwashed now. They're like zombies. They just repeat it. Like a cult. They just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And whenever you say, no, but specifically, what has he done? No, specifically, what has he cut? What's the cut? Well, Social Security's been cut. Well, has your Social Security been cut? Where? Has mine been cut? Show me. Where? Where has the Social Security been cut? Yes, the fraud has been cut. Yes, 15 million people who claim to be over 120 years old alive, they've lost their accounts. Yes, but shouldn't they lose their accounts? They have no response, Denise. And honestly, I don't think she was much of a friend to begin with. If she's willing to cut you loose over Elon Musk and DOGE, honestly, Denise, she did you a favor. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. She was never a true friend. Just my opinion. Denise, thank you very much for that call. Rob in Dedham. Thanks for holding, Rob, and welcome.
Jeff. Hey, you know what was impressive about that group last night with Musk was the following. The age of those people, okay, that have real world experience, taking advantage of the technology that's readily available. And as you could see, you had all these groups and boxes and things that couldn't communicate with each other. But the reason I'm calling is this, Jeff. I'll be at Tesla on Saturday in Dedham at 840 Providence Highway, celebration of Liberation Day. That's going to be the most important thing that these people have to understand. Tesla, American company, employs American people that make American cars. With Liberation Day and those tariffs going up 25%, we import out of the $800 billion market over $550 billion. That means jobs, factories, and booming economy for us. So when I go there, I will be standing by myself, hopefully a call to action to have the people come and celebrate.
I agree with you. I love these tariffs. That's why the auto union workers are completely supporting them, saying it's going to bring car companies back, factories, manufacturing, jobs. It's going to lead to an American economic renaissance. Your calls next. WRKO, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, Kuhner Country, my gift to you. Be the first caller now at 781-350-7045, and you will win, yes, 2 free tickets to Shenyang. So that's 781-350-7045. First caller, 2 free tickets. Treat yourself and your loved ones to an unforgettable night at Shenyang. It's a true celebration of beauty and heritage, coming to Boston, Worcester, Portland, and Providence starting March 29th. Get your tickets now. Shenyun.com. That's SHENYUN.com. David in the great state of Pennsylvania. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, it's your correspondent from PA. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, David. Dave, how are you, buddy?
Good. I'm a little late calling this morning, actually. I had a day off from work. But, Jeff, this DOGE thing, if it's pissing off the left and making the rhinos cringe, you know it's working, Jeff. I mean, Jeff, when Trump first announced the DOGE in the campaign, and, you know, Elon was hanging and banging and stuff, and we knew, Jeff, this was going to make the left into a tizzy. That's why these judges are coming in the way, blocking everything now, Jeff, from anything from defense to everything that's in the government operatives, you know?
You know, Dave, I got to ask you, you're completely right. Look, they're going to do terrorism tomorrow. I mean, there's no question now. The country's bracing. Elon was asked about it. He says it's utterly evil. He goes, look, whatever you think of Tesla, it's a peaceful company. I'm a peaceful man. We just make cars. You buy them, you don't buy them. You like them, you don't like them. We think they're great cars. They're made in America. They're American cars with American jobs at American production companies. And all of a sudden now, they've made it seem like a Tesla is the Nazi swastika. And that's the level of the hatred and the brainwashing, the indoctrination that the media is pushing. And I've got to ask you, Dave, what is the media so afraid of? What are the Democrats so afraid of? You know, when you listen to them talk, it's such obvious waste and corruption and fraud and abuse. And it's going to save this country so much money. $1 trillion minimum. And it's going to save Social Security and save Medicare and save the VA and save all these wonderful benefits and programs for the American citizens and the American people. What are they so afraid of?
Shenanigans being exposed, Jeff. You know, Jeff, you know they say sunlights, and I know heard you say this before, not 100, but 1,000 times, Jeff, like your percentage. Jeff, anytime you shed light, the rats are going to run, and sunlight is the best cleanser. That's why suntan is good for your skin sometimes, no vitamin A. But, you know, Jeff, they don't want to be exposed. They want everything to go back to the good old days. And if the good old days keep going, like Elon said, we're going to be bankrupt, Jeff.
You know, you're completely dead on, Dave. Dave, as always, thank you very, very much for that call. Look, and that's the other thing. I mean, the country's going to go under. This is unsustainable. No country can survive this kind of massive corruption and fraud and misuse and, frankly, theft. That's what this is. This is theft of taxpayer dollars. Here, look, let me just play you one more. Again, please breathe. You need to breathe, okay? Because you want. So Brett Baer asks him, you know, you've uncovered so much fraud and so much waste and so much abuse. What's the most astonishing thing you've ever found so far? Get ready for this. This, forget blowing your mind. It's going to send it into outer space. Okay? Listen to this. This is unbelievable. Roll cut 6A, Mike.
What's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally a 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. Was the government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
I mean, can you? They commissioned a survey for what's your favorite national park? You know, the national parks around the country. And he's right. SurveyMonkey or whatever, any of these online online sites, maybe 10 grand? 10 grand. You could do a national survey, no problem. They charged the government $1 billion. That's our money. Okay? I paid for it. You paid for it. We paid for that. Okay? Jeff, I'm on the road now going to work. I'm going to work to get a check, to feed my family, and I'm paying taxes. Yep. You're working now and you're paying taxes, and this is what they did with your money. They just chink. I mean, I wish I had a toilet sound. Flush it right down a rat hole. Just right down the toilet. $1 billion for a $10,000 survey of national parks. And then the kicker is they didn't even do anything with the survey. And you should see them all howdy-doody, nodding their heads. You wouldn't believe it. It's astonishing. It's mind-blowing. You wouldn't believe it. Every day. Billions here, billions there, billions. And we're the bad guys? And I'll tell you why. Because you think that was an innocent mistake? No. It's called theft. $10,000 survey, $1 billion we steal. We line our pockets. You want to know why all these politicians are filthy rich? All these NGOs, all these lobbyists, all of this, you want to know why? They're making so much freaking money? Because they've been stealing it from us. 9:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, we're going to continue to take your calls, I promise. But joining us now, as she always does at this time, she is the co-founder, CEO, president of Kelly Financial Services. And yes, that is her wonderful name, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. When it comes to your retirement savings, you need strategies that can safely preserve and grow your wealth. Kelly Financial offers precisely those kinds of strategies. What's more, our advisors are fiduciaries, meaning they are legally obligated to act in your best interest. They can guide you through a range of options that offer security, stability, and growth potential. Those options could include CDs, life insurance, bonds, and fixed index annuities. To understand how a fixed index annuity could be part of your financial strategy, Kelly Financial has a free investor guide called the ABCs of Fixed Index Annuities, which outlines their benefits and limitations. For the guide or for a free consultation, give us a call or email Kelly at kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I will continue this conversation with our Kelly advisors tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in, and we have a new Masters Class series coming up in April. Give us a call. Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. My best to Grace and the kiddos.
Thank you, Kelly. All the best to you and everyone at Kelly Financial. For a copy of their guide, or if you want a free retirement consultation, call 888-800-1881. Or if you want to actually email Kelly yourself, email Kelly at kellyfinancial.org. That's Kelly at kellyfinancial.org. Okay, my friends, they just told me they found one more batch of free tickets for Shenyang. I'm not kidding. One more batch. So, be the first caller now to get 2 free tickets to Shenyang. The number 781-350-7045, 781-350-7045. First one in, you get 2 free tickets to Shenyang. Treat yourself and your loved ones to an unforgettable night at Shenyang. Trust me, I've seen it 2 times. I'm going to see it again. Every show is different, and it's a true celebration of Chinese beauty, Chinese heritage, coming to Boston, Worcester, Portland, and Providence starting March 29th. Get your tickets now, shenyun.com. That's SHENYUN.com. I want to play one last clip because I think it's the checkmate argument. I want you to listen now to Elon Musk. And Elon says, and he's right, when you hear the Democrats rant and rave about DOGE and about all of these supposed cuts, when you hear the media going apoplectic, when you see these left-wing Tesla terrorists torching cars, mobbing Tesla dealerships, shooting up Tesla stores, vandalizing Tesla cars, going after Tesla drivers now. You ask them specifically, well, what cut do you disagree with? Like, you know what? You think we should be paying $1 billion for a $10,000 survey of national parks? Like, you think that's good? You think it's good to have 15 million people be registered as being alive, 120 years older on Social Security? And all of these checks going out to people who are clearly frauding and scamming the system? Like, you think it's good to be wasting hundreds of billions of dollars every single year? Like, you think that's a good thing? Listen now to Elon. Roll cut 9, Mike.
Usually when they attack DOGE, they never attack any of the specifics. So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or illegal or whatever. We're like, well, which line of the cost savings do you disagree with? And they can't point to any. And we list them all on doge.gov and the Doge handle on X. And you'll see just outrageous things, one outrageous thing after another.
It's all transparent. There it is. Look at the website. Here's what we found. Here's what we're cutting. Here's what we're going to end. They can't defend the indefensible. So if you notice, he's completely right. They attack him. Well, they lie about him. They defame him. They demonize him. They vilify him. They attack Tesla. They attack Tesla cars. They make outrageous claims. But they can't point to any single specifics. That's brainwashing. That's media manipulation. That's propaganda. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Frank in Gloucester. Thanks for holding, Frank, and welcome.
Jeff, I got two questions. One is, how does cutting the workforce of Social Security eliminate fraud? And the other question is, what's the name of this country that charged the government $1 billion for a survey? Can you answer that for me, please?
Okay, let me do the second one first. The name of the country, are you serious? It's the United States of America.
The name of the company that charged the United States.
It was a federal, it was a federal contract that was given out $1 billion to do a survey, a 10-question survey. Yeah, I understand what he's asking. And this could have been done for $10,000 on Monkey Survey. Now, that's a blatant example of fraud. But I guess you don't care about that. Now, as for your first point, look, I don't know how to tell you this, but the federal government and the federal bureaucracy is bloated. They literally have way too many employees. So clearly 6 people on a DOGE team were able to find all of this waste, fraud, and abuse that thousands and thousands of federal bureaucrats didn't catch, or to be more specific, didn't want to catch. Because as we just found out, they've known about this since 2008. So my question to you is this: why do we need over 2 million government workers if they can't catch the most obvious basic corruption? Could you explain that to me, Frank?
First of all, you didn't answer my question.
I did. I answered both of your questions. No. Frank, listen. Frank, listen. I'm not going to do stupid. Okay? I'm not going to do stupid. So go DOGE's website and you can see every company. It's all listed. It's all transparent. Can you operate a computer, Frank?
Wait a minute. Just name one. You got a computer there. Name one company.
No. I'm asking you a different question. I'm asking you, Frank, calm down. I know they're whipping you up into a frenzy. I get it. Can you go to Doge.com? DOGE? Can you do that? Just go to Doge.com. Can you do that, Frank? Hello?
The government paid $1 billion. Name one company that the government paid.
Okay. Go to Doge.com. It was a federal government contract, Frank. Okay? Doge.com. DOGE. Poor guy, I think he doesn't know how to spell com. COM. So Doge.com. And Frank, I hate to tell you this, but federal bureaucrats are not immune from losing their jobs. Private companies lay people off all the time, Frank. It's called welcome to the real world. Oh my God, what have I done? 9:48 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. I'm so sorry, Frank. I sent you on a wild goose chase. I'm so sorry. My apologies. I said Doge.com. Forgive me. It's Doge.gov. So, Frank, if you're still there, DOGE.gov. G-O-V. It's Doge.gov. I'm on it right now. The guy, first of all, Sandy says, I don't know if he can find his computer. But, I mean, if he does find his computer, he's going to be looking up Doge.com all weekend. This poor guy, I've sent him now on a wild goose chase. He's going to be Doge.com. I don't see anything. So, my apologies. It's Doge.gov, G-O-V. I'm just looking at it right now. I mean, either you laugh or you cry. Let's just laugh. Really, it's being fixed. Thank the Lord it's being fixed. But holy mackerel, look at this. Program cancellations included $3 million for, quote, transparency and accountability in Uzbekistan's cotton industry. $3 million, huh? To study transparency and accountability in Uzbekistan's cotton industry. I didn't even know they had a cotton industry. Let me see here. Okay. 100K, Vanderbilt University to study social networks, quote unquote, among sexual gender minorities. 37K for the University of Houston to study, quote unquote, fear of deportation in, quote, Latinx young adults. And it just goes on and on. 700K for studying, quote unquote, cannabis use among sexual minority, gender diverse individuals. My God, they're raping us. I'm telling you, I swear, they've been raping us. That's where our money's been going. And I got to tell my children, Ashton, Ava, yeah, well, what is it, Daddy? Well, they've mortgaged your futures. The debt and the deficit. You got to spend your whole lives paying this thing off. Really, Daddy? Yeah. Well, what did we all spend it? But, Daddy, what did the government spend it on? I don't know. Did they build roads with it, Daddy? Highways? A first-class military? Like, what did they do, Daddy? Did they put a space station on Mars? 3 million studying cotton industry in Uzbekistan. Yeah, $1 billion for a survey that really normally costs $10,000 to study national parks. Really, Daddy? And what did they find out? Nothing. What do you mean? No, they didn't do anything. They just spent the money and just shelved the study. Yeah. Yeah, Iraqi Sesame Street. I agree with you. That to me is the best. Daddy, what do you mean? Well, they spent about $24 million on Big Bird. Yep. On Big Bird but in Iraq. Yep. I mean, it's unbelievable. 6-1. So, Daddy, we're going to spend all our lives paying this off? Yeah. Yeah. How do you look your children in the face? 617-266-6868. Susan in Salem. Thanks for holding, Susan, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Susan?
Fine. I'm fine. I'm just really upset they're not spending this money on Grover. I like Grover. I can talk like Grover. Hello, everybody.
Or the Cookie Monster. Remember the Cookie Monster?
Oh, yeah,
I loved the Cookie Monster when I was young.
Yeah, I think they should divvy it up, maybe. Divvy up the funds. But as far as tomorrow goes, with the take down Tesla, eliminate Elon, are these dealerships taking any precautions or anything? Do you know?
What I'm
even
hearing,
private owners.
Yeah, Susan, I can just tell you, I can't speak for everyone. They're going to hit 500 dealerships. I've gotten emails from several Tesla dealers across New England who listen to the show, and they said they're putting a lot of extra security tomorrow. In fact, I wrote a couple back. I've been waiting for a response. I'm like, well, are you going to close maybe the dealership down? For the safety of your employees. And so far I haven't heard anything. I don't like to do that because then you're caving in to these terrorists. But I think I can tell you this. They are adding, at least in New England, they're going to be adding security at these dealers. They have to. I mean, these idiots are walking around with Molotov cocktails, and they're just literally lighting these cars on fire. or, and they're guns and shooting up the Tesla store. So, yeah, and I hope when they get arrested that they're arrested as domestic terrorists. I hope the FBI is out in force. I hope Pam Bondi and the DOJ is out in force, and let everybody know, you touch a Tesla car or a Tesla dealership, you're going to be tried and charged as a terrorist. Final word to you, Susan.
Well, of course, that makes total sense, and that was going to be my next thing I was going to say. Wouldn't they be considered domestic terrorists? Because that is the definition of a terrorist.
Yeah, that's what Pam Bondi said. Pam Bondi said from this point forward, you attack a Tesla or a Tesla dealership, you will be prosecuted and designated as a domestic terrorist. And I say throw the book at him. Really, throw the book at him. Really teach him a lesson, because this is beyond unacceptable. Susan, thank you for that call. Mike, can I squeeze one more in? Trey in New Hampshire. I hate to do this to you, Trey. 1 minute, go.
All right. Hey, Jeff, real quick, something for homework for the weekend for Kuhner country. The government is spending $250 billion a month, roughly. That's around $10 billion a day. What is market cap? Market cap is the measure of a company's total value. What's worth $10 billion, Jeff? Coca-Cola Corporation. Been around for decades. Took decades to build. Thousands of employees. $11 billion market cap.
My God. I mean, that just shows you the scale of the out-of-control spending. Trey, great call to end the show. By the way, DOGE very soon is going to give us real-time updates. In other words, when they find fraud, like at that very minute, they're going to announce it on the doge.gov website. I mean, keep it up, guys. You're doing great. Bye-bye.